how do you manage your energy during the sprint? Because as a facilitator, usually it's as a participant how it goes, but how do you manage it during the week? Your energy, but also the bias that comes in, because you start to think also some way. So what's your trick to stay at the good place? And energy and bias.
So for energy, I try really hard to not succumb to the temptation of letting the sprint day go on longer, to try to do just a bit more, let this conversation go a bit further. So I would always try to end sprint days at 5 p.m. and if possible at 4:30 p.m. This is a dramatic difference in those half-hour increments between 4:30 and 5 and 5 and 5:30. I don't know why, but at least for me, it's like I feel profoundly more tired or maybe to turn it around, I feel profoundly more rested if I could get away at 4:30. And compressing things and getting them to end a little bit sooner, I just preserve more energy. Also, things like eating well and sleeping well are really important, and I can control the sleeping, the time I go to bed a bit more. I can't control that for the whole team. I can, to a certain extent, I can control the food that the whole team eats at least during the week when they're there, but I'm going to try to eat well. I'll try to still maintain like an exercise routine and exercise in the mornings whenever I can on a sprint. And partly too, it's like about staying out of I have facilitated mini sprints where I participate as well as facilitate, and giving myself permission to not participate and just rest when people are doing some of the steps helps a lot. Another thing that helps with energy is if you can facilitate in a pair, so you have a colleague facilitating, even if you're the lead facilitator, but you have somebody else who's helping you process during breaks or can jump in sometimes, and even if they don't have to facilitate an exercise, even if you just know there's somebody else in the room who's kind of on your side, not that it's adversarial, but just someone else who's thinking about the process, that helps a lot. So all those are kind of the things, the tools for me. And I'm sorry, would you remind me real quick the bias? Bias, yeah. So it's inevitable. There's no way to, I think, facilitate and be unbiased. So a lot of the process is meant to make, one of the things that happens in the process, and one of the reasons why I set it up in the way I did, was to make it so I couldn't tamper that much. The decider has so much authority, and the people on the team have such an opportunity to put forward their argument that it's very hard for me to tamper. In fact, it got to be almost a joke for me and my friend John, one of my co-authors on Sprint, that how often my sketches would never get chosen. And I'm also a pretty good artist, so they looked good and everything, and I think they were good ideas. I have experience as a designer. I know very rarely were selected for whatever reason, and I was biased towards them. I always thought they were good ideas, but so I think that's probably because the process walled me off to some extent from pitching the ideas. Of course, you have the opportunity when you're doing the speed critique. Invariably, you know how yours works. You can explain it better, but for the most part, the process will protect you from that. And then I think it's important also, I guess, to I had to remind myself sometimes, I remembered that in times when my sketches had been chosen, how often they didn't work. So a lot of times things that I thought made perfect sense didn't work in real life. I've built products and had them fail, that shipped and launched. So I have a long track record of failures. So I know the reality, but I also have to remind myself, just back to this question, it's about learning. And I have to remind myself that too, even when I'm facilitating.